In the Stands podcast coming back at you. Andy Roberts, Jason Loggins.
What up?
No Tony Cash. That's okay. I will actually enjoy the break.
Yeah, I'm surprised it lasted this long for him not making it. So
sure.
It's all good.
That's part of it. He'll be on with our guests. Speaking of our guests today, we've got a couple guests on from GIAA. I know we've already had Dr. Scott on with GHSA. Talked a lot about that organization, the rules. Now we're going to hear about GIAA, which Lakeview Academy's in. So
Yep.
I think that'll be pretty informative. Looking forward to that. So.
Yeah, to hear their perspective on their affiliation, how it rolls over that way. So
I know there's a lot of questions there. I've had some questions, so I think that'll be pretty informative. So anyways, we've not done a recap in a little bit, so we thought we'd do a quick recap here. I know we're coming out of winter sports, getting ready for spring sports, which I'm pretty sure we'll all enjoy the weather change, if that will happen sooner than later. I think we're ready for the spring warm weather. So
no doubt.
Anyways, we'll start with basketball. I know a lot of the Hall County teams are in region this week, so I know I think we've got a couple teams that are needing to win region, maybe to head to state. So
Yeah, so it's the top four?
I believe that's correct.
In it's rankings, right?
Yep.
Okay.
It was off rankings, but I know there's a few teams that need to really they might even need to win it to help themselves out.
Get some of that March Madness in February.
Yep. I think we're looking. A few teams are looking to make some runs here. So I know Lakeview came out of region last week. They start state boys and girls this week. So they're looking. I know girls are looking to repeat again. And boys are trying to redeem their Final Four run where it got put out last year. So hopefully make
Go
it
Lions.
State championship game. Basketball, speaking of it, just want to congratulate a couple shout-outs here. Braden Langston, Player of the Year in their region. We all know, just phenomenal basketball player. Started out the year injured. Did what he needed to do to heal up and just
rolling on right now with Coach Dix. He kind of eased him into the season, and now he's just like a well-oiled machine right now. So
he's playing great basketball. Then we got, and speaking of that on the boys' side, I just want to say, I know you and I talked about this. We feel like Gunner, we feel like you got robbed a little bit on Player of the Year. You definitely got our vote. Everything he's done this year has just been remarkable.
Yeah, he broke his own record. It's a record that stood for over 30 years, with beating Brown Hall, and he topped it off by 7 more a couple weeks later with 54 points in a high school game.
Remarkable.
On senior night.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. And again, as we've talked about many times, he just scores from every aspect.
Yeah, didn't he finish the game with like 8 threes in a row, something like that?
In a row to end it. Just remarkable, phenomenal. So,
yeah.
Gunner, you had our vote there.
No doubt.
Player of the Year. Still remarkable season. Claire Carlson on the girls' side, co-player of the year.
No.
Really enjoyed watching her this year. Speaking of shooting,
she can shoot the lights out of it.
One of the best shooters I know I've seen on the girls' side. Her stats prove it. Anyways, just
Middle Georgia commit. She's going to Middle Georgia.
That's right.
Props to her.
And her teammate Bristol just hit 1,000.
Yep. She broke the 1,000-point barrier earlier, or 2 weeks ago maybe, and huge accomplishment for her. So
really
if I can get the words out. But
and I don't know if everybody knows this, but Bristol actually reclassed up, if you so to speak.
Yeah,
finished early.
She's a junior
college. So to say she hit 1,000 point, she basically did it in 3 years. So just remarkable job.
I know region starts tonight with them at Cherokee Bluff, then at finals in Jefferson. But if you have a chance, Hall County or whoever in this area, to go watch those girls play, I would challenge you to do that, because those two girls, well, the whole team, they have a bunch of seniors on there, but those two girls in particular, they can actually ball, and it's very fun to watch. It's going to be sad to see them go, but Bristol can handle the ball just like a guy, and it's fun to watch for sure.
Yep. I agree. Just such a fun team to watch. So looking forward to these last few weeks. See what Hall County teams do. Again, there's some really good basketball teams out there. I know Gainesville's had one unbelievable season on the boys' side, and
undefeated.
A lot of questions. See if they're going to make that state run this year. So I know they're going to come up against a lot of good competition as well. So be interesting to see how all this plays out.
No doubt.
Wrestling. I know on the wrestling side, and again this year with us doing this, I've learned a lot more about wrestling, and so it looks like we've had a lot of success here in Hall County. So just kind of want to highlight all that real quick. So we'll go over. Loggins, what are you doing?
What?
What do you? We're going over wrestling, not wrestling.
Well, when you said something about wrestling, it gets me in the mood. So the silver one had to make an appearance today, if you will.
I don't know if everybody knows this, but Loggins actually is the next wrestler. So wrestler, right? You were on the wrestling side.
Not like AJ Styles, but I mean, it was kind of like the minor leagues, of it.
Yeah.
So,
Well, yeah, definitely not like AJ.
it really hurts.
He was
So,
actually very successful.
Yeah.
As we,
I was the most hated man in Raven County. That's my claim
why
to
are we
fame.
not shocked?
Woo!
Why did I not know you played a villain in the wrestling
I mean, look at
world?
my shirt. I mean,
I'm actually not funny. I'm just mean, and people think I'm joking. That might be the truest.
Nailed it.
You did know it. Well, all right. Back to Hall County athletes, student athletes. Let's go over recap the girls quickly. Chestatee, 2 state qualifiers. North Hall and Chestatee is obviously kind of a powerhouse in wrestling, I believe. North Hall, 2 state qualifiers. Cara Dover, 3rd place at the 120-pound. Gainesville had 4 state qualifiers. So the ladies there successful. Congratulations to all of you. Flyer Branch, I believe this is on the boys' side. 190-pound weight class, 6th place, Ethan Shepard. And 175-pound weight class, got 3rd place, Griffin Harper. We know we've talked about Griffin a little bit on the podcast. Great athlete, so congrats to both of you. Gainesville had 150-pound weight class, coming in 4th. That was Demaria Morley. Chestatee qualified 6th. Bordy Burke, 165-pound runner-up. West Hall had 3 qualify. Bluff had 5 qualify. Austin Beverly there taking in 3rd place in the 150-pound weight class. East Hall had 2 with Lucas Pruitt taking 3rd in the 190-pound weight class.
big boy.
Oh, yeah. North Hall, 3rd place as a team. So I know they had a great year. Along with 8 state qualifiers.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive.
North Hall just big showing up there. 126-pound state champion Jack Proctor, and if I'm not incorrect, he is back-to-back state champion.
Yep.
So, Jack, I've heard your name a lot. Congrats, great job. 113-pound runner-up Elkin Alessandro Torres. 157-pound runner-up Jaden Escalante. I know Jaden. Great job there. I know he puts a lot of work in, so congratulations, Jaden, on that. 250-pound 3rd place Cade Hawthorne. Also surpassed 100 career wins. I know, great season there. We've heard a lot about you, Cade.
Yep, super
So
impressive.
congratulations. And following, rounding this up, 138-pound 4th place Israel Hernandez.
Yeah, thank you for our coworker John Young helping us get these stats up for sure. And this area is just a hotbed of wrestling. Obviously Jefferson is the king right now, but overall, all these local counties are they're so deep in the wrestling success. Really, we really turn out some wrestlers in this area for sure. So congrats to everybody who qualified. Like when Alan was on here, he said that it was him versus his opponent. So it's one-on-one. It's not really like a team thing at that point. Once you get on that mat, it's one-on-one. And for these guys to make it, and the ladies to make it this far, with some coming out on top as the overall state champion is super impressive. So it's good to see all the. I mean, back when I was in school, North Hall was a top-notch program, and I guess they still own up there. But yeah, just props to everybody who made it to the state.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun learning more and more about wrestling. And yes, John, thank you for your help. I believe he's going to become one of our new statisticians.
Yeah, stat guy.
That's right. Help us out with all this. It's not easy finding all this information.
No.
So all the help we can get, we appreciate. And again, as always, anybody out there listening that you want your athlete sport talked about, all you got to do is let us know, send it in, and we'd be glad to do that. Speaking of that, heading into spring sports. So I know, again, a lot of excitement around Hall County with that.
Right.
Baseball, soccer, track, golf. So got a lot of big things coming on. golf, again, we've had some real success come out of Hall County.
Yeah.
I know it's going to be fun and crazy at the same time, but to think that we're out there telling the county better look out, that your competition's an 8th grader in Hudson Justice over at Lakeview.
That's right.
Which I'm proud to say over at Lakeview. But it's just crazy to think that that's,
Oh, yeah.
the one that
We got 4 more years of this.
it's going to be great. Yeah, we're going to see what he does at a high school right out of the gate this year. As an 8th grader. So
Or
it's
5
gonna be a lot
years,
of fun.
sorry, yeah.
But I know there's also a lot of great golf in Hall County. There's a lot of
Oh, yeah.
golfers out there. So looking forward to that. Baseball. Again, some amazing athletes. I know we've already got some D1 commits out there to some really good schools. Cherokee Bluff, North Hall. I know they're looking to make state runs again.
That's right.
So,
Well, North Hall's got the kid going to Indiana,
yep.
and Bubba's going from the Bluffs going to Alabama.
Yeah, Branson Crawford at North Hall, phenomenal kid, by the way. We all truly enjoy hearing about success. People, athletes coming out of the county, going on to do great things, going on to play in college. Some of them to the next level, but I think we all appreciate just when it's a great person, student athlete. Great attitude and efforts. What
That's
we
right.
talk a lot about, and Branson Crawford's definitely one of those. And again, Bubba, same.
Mhm.
I hear great things about him.
Glad to see he's back.
Same. I will say props to everybody involved, and for anybody that doesn't know, there was just a little bit of question if Bubba was going to be
Eligible.
and I know that shouldn't even have been a question.
No.
So. Anyways, props to the ones that made that decision, helped make that decision to make him eligible. That would have been just a really sad scenario. if
That's
it had
right.
been. So, anyways, but Bubba go on to do great things this year. I'm looking forward to those programs and seeing what they're going to do. So, anyways, soccer world.
Yeah,
I'm sure
it's-
Johnson's going to be powerhouse again.
Looking forward to covering one of those matches.
Yep, we'll definitely be out there for that
Is it a match or a game?
soccer game.
Yeah. Okay. It's been a while, so.
So anyways, looking forward to it. Again, track world. I know we've got some runners out there that have already been setting records. Going to continue to do that. Some
Mhm.
young runners out there that have already set some records. So we'll be recapping a lot of that too, seeing what they do
Yep.
out in that world. So looking forward to it.
Yeah, and going back to the wrestling, we when we first started this, we wanted to cover everything, and I think we've already touched on it a little bit. Feel bad that we didn't get a chance to go actually watch some matches, some meets, if you will. But next year we hope to balance it better. It was just we couldn't be in 2 places at one time, so we didn't forget about you wrestlers, and we're proud of you. So we look
Definitely.
forward to next year covering you more.
Definitely. Yep. All right. Well, up next, we're going to hear from GIAA, which we're looking forward to. Next week, we've got a great guest coming on, ex-MLB pitcher and
Yeah,
local Hall County native now. So
that's right.
I think that's going to be great. Anyways.
We'll see you next time.
In the Stands podcast coming back to you. Andy Roberts, Tony Cash, Jason Loggins sitting behind the scenes on this one, which is okay. We've got a very exciting episode. I know for myself, I think a lot of people are going to want to hear about this. Cash and I are very excited, but I just want to welcome on from GIAA, Georgia Independent Athletic Association. We've got Mr. Clint Morgan, Associate Commissioner. Thank you for being on here, Clint.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having us.
And his partner, Kent Copeland, which is the Executive Assistant of Athletics. So
Glad to be here with you guys.
well, we appreciate it, Kent. Like I said, very excited about this. We've had Dr. Scott, as many of you know, on here to talk about GHSA a little bit and give us rules and backgrounds of that. And so super excited to have you guys on here just to talk about GIAA. Now that we've got Lakeview and a couple schools in the surrounding counties part of it. I know there's I know as far as North Georgia, just outside of Atlanta, there's a lot of questions there about the difference. And so love to have you guys on here just to kind of educate us on that. So Clint, if you just want to start, give us a little bit of your background and a little bit about GIA.
Yeah, so I'm Clint Morgan, and I've been in the association, our parent company, GISA. I went to school in GISA, graduated in '89. So I've been in this league for a long time. I've stayed in it the majority of the time. I did have an opportunity to be in GHSA for a couple of years, but I coached and taught in 5 different schools, and then finally got smart to realize I need to get in administration, and decided that, or I didn't decide. They had a position open in the league office, and took that job in 2016, and so I'm in my 10th year in this role, and enjoying every minute of it. We have grown, and we've just had an awesome time, converting from GISA over into the GIAA.
Sure.
Well, my name is Kent Copeland. I've also, kind of like Clint, grew up in this league in the GISA, went to school in it, graduated. I didn't really want to say the date now because that's going to date me. 79. So when I graduated and came back after college at Berry, played basketball at Berry College, came back to my alma mater, Georgia Christian School in Valdosta. Okay. And as a young guy going back to the school you played at, is not the best move you want to make because they still see you. Those 8th graders still see you as one of them. So I would call my first big coaching job. I was at Eatonton, Georgia at Gatewood Schools. Okay. Did that for about 10 years. Got into the sales world, but stayed in the GISA as a community coach because I, like you, my kids played. But I ended up going back to Georgia Christian as my kids got to about middle school just because Dad played there. Wanted his kids to play there, kind of thing. And both my boys graduated there. Matter of fact, my youngest boy now is an athletic director there. But I too, like Clint, have been in a couple jobs, but opportunity to come on board. Clinton calls me and said, "Man, let's do this." It has been a great ride growing this league. It's fun. And when you go to work and something's fun, it's not work anymore. Right. It's just let's go do this. And we're on the road a good bit, but there's a lot of freedom that we have that we get our job done. I wouldn't say we're at an 8 to 5 job. Okay. By no means. But at the same time, through his guidance and the leadership, and even above us, this league has really taken off.
Sure. Thank you both for that. I want to go back. This was actually going to be one of our questions. Clinton, you kind of just touched on it because I myself don't fully know, but I think you just mentioned GISA is the parent to GIAA, and I know for a long time we all heard it as GISA, and so just tell us a little bit about GIAA now that it's called.
Up here, I'll say it that way. Up here, a lot of people. You would call it GISA,
or
GISA, sure. And we've never thought of it as that GISA for forever. We've always had confusion with people not understanding who GISA is and the difference between GISA and GHSA even. Reality is that 90% of the independent schools in Georgia are part of GISA. Okay. We call them general members. Those general members, and when I say that, we're speaking in terms of Marist and Lovett and Woodward and all the schools. They are GISA schools. They're general members of ours, and they choose to participate in GHSA for athletics, which they have the right to do. Okay. And we don't fault anybody for doing things like that because the leagues are different and they have different opportunities. But we also have schools that choose to stay in the, quote, GISA side, is the way it was for so long, and compete. So when people would ask questions about us and we would talk about a Lovett or a Greater Atlanta Christian or whatever it was, and they're not GISA, they're GHSA. Well, you're right, but they are a GISA school. So at one point we just decided it's probably a good time for us to rebrand over into just one arm of what our company is. Okay. And that one arm is athletics. Okay. And so we rebranded the athletic arm into GIAA, GIAA. I hope we're not having people say GIAA.
I've not heard that
I have
yet.
not
so-
heard that either.
but GIAA is how we like to refer to it. But the rebrand was based off of just trying to help people understand GHSA is an athletic brand and GIAA is an athletic brand, and so there is a difference there. Obviously, we're only independent schools, and all of us are more like-minded than our numbers are smaller. So when you have a smaller number and more like-minded, it makes things a lot easier.
Is it all private schools
Yeah.
that are members? Okay.
Yeah.
It's,
I was going to ask too, when you talk about that, the Marist and all them that are members, general members, but they play in GHSA. If a smaller public school wanted to join the GIAA, could they?
Our bylaws do not allow
Okay.
for it. Government funding is where the difference is.
Gotcha.
All of our schools are independent. That's why
Right.
we prefer to use the term independent instead of private, because we are all independent. We're not relying on government
Okay.
funds for being able to do day-to-day operations. So it is an independent league versus a private school
Okay.
league. Everyone calls it private school, and that's fine. But in the real word for us, it's just we're all independent schools.
Okay.
And that's the beauty of our league, but it's also part of the bad part of our league. If you want to get honest with it, people love their independence. We don't govern certain things. That's the schools get to decide on things that they do and the way they do things. And we just try to govern the athletic side of the league.
Okay.
So
talk a little bit, Kent, about the athletic portion of it. I know pretty much all sports are offered in it. Tell us a little bit about, the competition. One thing I hear a lot about, people give me a hard time about, is, you're not GHSA, competition in there. Well, I've come to find in 5 years, yes, it is. It absolutely is. But
Well,
go
I'll
ahead.
tell you, and want to start with the athletic side as far as when we'll go back in my day, it was football, basketball, baseball, the basics, right?
Sure.
And we have exploded and pushed into the tennis world has gotten a heck of a lot bigger. We do bass fishing. I don't want to say we were ahead, but George Koster was huge in bass fishing, but we've been doing bass fishing and governing it all 5 years. So those kind of sports are new. We took on lacrosse. We're about to take on air rifle and see if we can grow that.
Wow, that's nice.
I think one of our largest, clay targets is probably one of our huge sports. We will see today, and the reason we're up here, wrestling has gotten very, very big, very big. But everybody wants to have how's football or basketball or baseball. I'll also say, too, that our numbers, and we mentioned it earlier, are obviously smaller. But if our kids are good enough, they're going to the next level college athletes. I don't care what school you're at. If you're good enough to play, they want you.
Right.
And we've got a baseball player at FPD, First Presbyterian, that's going to Vandy. We've got the number 34 baseball pitcher in the state of Georgia, in the country, going to Clemson, and he's in a single A school.
he's probably not going to Clemson. He's probably going to be drafted. He's the number 34 on the draft board
Is he?
currently.
Yeah. So I mean, that's huge. U.S. amateur golfer down in Thomasville.
Yeah.
But if the kids want it and they can get it through a Lakeview, they can get it through a George Walton, they can get it through a Brookwood. If you're good enough, these coaches will find you.
Yes.
And well, how's it been, Clint? 3 or 4 years now that we have gotten crossover play that's been put in. If your private school wants to play public schools and public schools want to play you, do it.
Okay.
And that's huge. That saves on travel too.
Right.
And that's huge. Not even our public schools don't want to ride all over the place to go play a game that's equal competition. Play local if you can.
Absolutely.
Which leads perfect into the next question. So we've had Dr. Scott with GHSA on here, and really enjoyed getting to know him. But tell us a little bit, how much do you guys work with GHSA? Do you work with them?
Yeah, so we're relying on them to a certain extent. We have a great relationship. I think anytime either one of us need to have conversations, it's not like I don't think we feel like we're competitors by any stretch of the imagination. We're different. We're an independent league versus their league, but you know the National Federation of High Schools, NFHS, which has the governing body pretty much over all schools in the nation, they allow one state association to be a member of National Federation. Georgia High School is the state association, and then but they do have the ability to have affiliate memberships with smaller leagues within that same state. It has to be approved by the state association. So Dr. Scott and Dr. Hines both have provided that opportunity for us to be a part of National Federation, which is really, really huge because it gives us opportunities to deal with all the meetings and things that go on, and it allows us to. There's some states that won't allow their private associations to play against schools that aren't part of National Federation, and so if those we could be some of those we could be that kind of state or that association if Dr. Scott didn't allow us to be part of National Federation. So we owe a lot to them, and they've been gracious to us, and we appreciate what they do. They have a really hard job with 400 schools. We're much smaller than that, and we have a tough enough job to handle our 81 schools in our league. We have 180 schools in our general membership, but that 80 number is much smaller than the 460 that they have. But we believe they do a really great job of what they do for their association, and so yeah, we've got a really good relationship with them.
Great. I know one thing again. My two oldest sons are at Lakeview, so we're part of GIAA, as I mentioned, and so I've learned a lot in these last 5 years, which has just really been eye-opening, which is on a great scale. And I've learned that GIAA, one probably advantage you've got over GHSA is the flexibility that you kind of touched on. But between scheduling, I know like Lakeview, we are a 3A GIAA school, but our region we play in is 4A because of travel, so that we're not traveling to South Georgia a lot, which is phenomenal. But when we go to the playoffs, we're playing 3A teams. Yeah. And then also 8th graders are allowed non-contact sports to play varsity. My oldest son currently has a state championship ring because in 8th grade he was called up on the basketball team after January, ended up winning the state championship.
That's great.
Awesome.
So actually my middle son also has a ring because he was the manager. He was in 6th grade and won the manager. So we rolled into state championships there. But I've always thought great. That's just such a great thing. And I know a lot of people even around here are trying to, they made a big push for 8th graders to even be able to play JV in GHSA. And so I just think that's a great part. My oldest son got called up varsity in 8th grade, had the opportunity to play varsity baseball. Also, he decided he didn't feel like that was the route he wanted to quite go there, but we have had an 8th grader or a couple 8th graders play on varsity baseball, which was great. They get the experience early. So I just think that's a great thing, but maybe just touch on those a little bit, the flexibility of what you guys can do.
Well, I mean, we've always, because of size, and not necessarily Lakeview or these 4A schools, but more on the single A, double A level, 8th graders tend to be needed more, to fill out a team. Okay. Number one, fill out a full roster, make a good practice field, practice in a gym or a baseball field or whatever else. I've always hoped that I never had to put my 8th grader in because a 12th grader should beat him every time. You know, and if I'm using an 8th grader, I'm at a disadvantage a lot of times. Now, there's those phenoms out there
There are.
that I'd play them all 5 years if I could. But we have had that. We still, just like Georgia High School, 8th graders are not on the football field.
Right.
It's just, I guess, maturity, and here's the football coach on that. But we feel like that has helped our smaller schools. Every now and then, and I've seen other 4A schools, and I'll use the word softball was one where I've seen 8th graders out on the field in softball. But they're there, in my opinion, and even as when I was coaching, it was more of I needed more on the practice facility, more so than I needed them as starters.
Right.
But if they were good enough and they were productive, they were starters. And we witnessed one couple of years ago, an 8th grader at the Heritage School in Noonan, Georgia. Okay, he could play. He could handle his own, and he could go. So I bet that kid here in the next year or two, we'll hear more about that kid somewhere at the next level.
I know exactly who you're talking about, or I watched him. So
Yes, and he's next level.
Yes,
there's
definitely.
and you can see that.
Well,
It didn't matter if he was at Heritage or at whatever one of the schools in Noonan was.
Right.
He's going to be seen.
And I'll add to that too. We're talking here and hearing more about the male side of things. As far as an 8th grader goes, a lot of times females are maturing their athletic
Absolutely.
ability much earlier anyway. So allowing them that opportunity to participate also in the 8th grade level is huge for the girls' side of the sports. And you see a lot more 8th graders participating in the female sports than you do in even the male side. But it does give them that opportunity to compete at an earlier level, at an earlier age when they are maturing into their athletic ability at an earlier age.
great point.
Yeah.
And I love that the options there. And you nailed it. Like I said, Lewis, he did basketball as an 8th grader there for the last half of the season, and he nor my mother and him, or his mother and I, just didn't really want to see him on the baseball field at varsity level. But it was great that the option was there.
Yep.
So I love that.
I want to ask, local states like South Carolina, Alabama, Florida, do they have independent associations? Do y'all work with them? Do y'all compare? How does that work?
Well, as a matter of fact, we have an LLC with 3 other states: Mississippi, Alabama, and South Carolina. Their associations along with us, and we actually have North Carolina that is probably going to be in the mix here in the next even month or so.
Okay.
We started this LLC before COVID, pre-COVID. We were playing basically state to state, playing some football games. We were playing in the Crampton Bowl in Alabama, playing golf tournaments on St. Simon's with the 4 states, volleyball up at West Georgia, in Carrollton with all the 4 states, and just providing an additional opportunity for the independent schools in those states. It kind of fizzled a little around the COVID time, and a lot of people didn't want to travel as much anymore and things like that. We have really begun to reconvene and started meeting more with each other. We meet a couple times, maybe 3 times a year with those states, and we collaborate in learning what they're doing and figure out ways to be better. And it's a really good thing to have that. It's called the SECIS, the Southeastern Commission of Independent Schools. And it's a really good thing. We enjoy that a lot. But and again, the collaboration is huge for us because we want to be the best we can be, and we're learning from each other, and it's a lot of fun.
That's awesome.
Now, we still do that. It didn't die as much on our academic, the GISA side, the academic side. Those states still work together in its art
And Battle of the Books
and stuff like that. You're right. So, and a lot of that can be done virtually.
Okay.
And they're still not Mississippi's not driving to Georgia or wherever, you know what I'm saying. But that has continued. Our sports did fizzle a little bit because of travel and some changes and all that kind of stuff. So we are working to get that back. It's easy to do golf. It was easy to do volleyball because we could get it started early August. It was almost like a pre-tournament. But and football was huge. That was great. It's just
that was fun.
And we were doing that at West Georgia, so we get as close to the Alabama line as we could to save Mississippi from driving. South Carolina drive across Georgia.
Yeah.
And those were some good games, good times.
I bet.
You take the last golf tournament that we had, 20 players, 4 states, 5 players each, and there were 16 of the 20 that ended up in major college golf. It was a lot of fun. And it wasn't like a team. It wasn't a school. We had our top 5 golfers, and the other states would have their top 5 golfers, and they were all. It was really good golf, is what it was. It
Battle
was
of
fun
the
to watch.
States.
Yeah,
I like it.
was great.
That's remarkable. Talk a little bit about, I know kind of a hot topic right now in GHSA are the transfer rules, right? And so, again, as we've talked about, because of what's going on in college, transfer portal and all that, it's almost like you feel like there's a transfer portal now in high school a little bit.
Absolutely.
And so, there's some rules and guidelines there in GHSA as far as how that can work. Tell us rules with you guys. How does that work?
Yeah, it's kind of it's really not easy to talk about simply because there's so many small rules pertaining to eligibility and transfer. The one thing I can say is that the GHSA rule and the GIAA rule is very, very similar. GHSA is one league and GIAA is another league. So our members, if a student transfers out of GIAA into GHSA, they can be eligible immediately. Vice versa, if someone, a non-member student, transfers from a GHSA school over into GIAA, they also are immediately eligible. So we don't have service areas. Our service areas are anybody willing to drive, and that's got to be the model of an independent school for sure. I used to cut up and tell people that I coached at Tatnall Square in Macon, and when I would talk to someone about trying to say that y'all get to do this, y'all get to do this, and like let's be honest with each other here. There's a certain spot of Bibb County that if you live there, you have to go to school at Central High School. If you live in this area, you have to go to Howard. If you live here, there is nowhere in Bibb County that you live where you have to go to Tatnall Square Academy. So every single student was brought in to the school because they wanted to come to the school, or they were, this is a hot topic here, the R word, recruiting. If we want to be honest, every single admissions department inside a school their job is to get students at their school.
Correct. Sure.
And that's public and private, by the way. I mean, that is it goes both ways.
Sure.
But reality is that every school that or every student that's in each of our schools that have been recruited to a certain extent.
Sure.
We have rules that allow the proper way to have people be able to come to your school. We've been tying up some loose ends and some loopholes with what's considered bona fide moves and things like that people are. I think that's where the transfer is getting the bad name because you see people going from this school to this school to this school, and GHSA made that new rule of only transferring twice or something like that. When kids are seeing that it gets tough, and they're seeing on television that it's okay every single year to go to a different school, it's hard for us as leagues to be able to curtail that at the high school level. And so we're having to do things more to tighten up on and not allowing that to happen as much as it's happening now.
What about age? Because I know I asked Dr. Scott about the age. Is there an age limit in GIAA?
Yeah, it's the same.
Okay.
Ours is you can't turn 19 before May 1st of your junior year.
Okay.
We're more we're not at the point where we say, okay, until you turn a certain age that you can play until that time. That's not it. Your junior year, when you realize that you just turned 19 before May, you're not participating in that last year at all.
Okay.
So you're finishing up your last year when that happens.
Okay.
So it's one of those. Sometimes people don't realize that they held somebody back, or the real hot topic is reclassifying.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah, sure.
There's truly no such thing as reclassifying. Reclassifying means that you have taken a kid and just changed the grade that he's in, that he actually is, right? Well, our rule, Georgia High School's rule, every league that's in National Federation basically has the same rule.
Okay.
And that is you have 8 semesters of eligibility. And when you enter 9th grade, you can picture an hourglass. That hourglass is really an 8-semester glass.
Okay.
And once they step foot in 9th grade, and I'd like to add this always, the first time, when you enter 9th grade the first time, your eligibility clock begins,
Right.
and it's going to run 8 consecutive semesters, and it's never going to stop. Once that 8 consecutive semesters are over, you're done.
Okay.
So you can reclassify. You can call it that or whatever you can call it, but you're not going to be eligible as a senior if you do it.
Right.
And then there goes all the appeals processes and all those things that people try to do, and we hardly ever have a 5th year senior in our league at any point ever.
Okay.
In my time, I could count on one hand how many times that's happened.
Okay.
So I've got 2 questions to that. So one being it starts in 9th grade, so that's why any kid that plays in 8th grade, they've still got the full eligibility in high school.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And I call it, and I'm sorry to interrupt.
No,
you. We call it a unique rule. I mean,
Sure.
it is truly an 8th grade rule, and a lot of people don't understand this part either. We allow 1 year of 8th grade eligibility. There are people that they see a kid that they played a little basketball or whatever, and they're like, yeah, he's going to end up. Let's hold him back, and let's hold him back, and because he's not going to mess up his eligibility, we're going to hold him back. If you have played a minute in any varsity athletics, you're done as an 8th grader in that 1 year.
Okay.
So they have to be really particular on making, and then they also get tied into the transfer rules as well. So if you play as an 8th grader, you're not transferring out either, because that's when, if they're playing as an 8th grader, that's a perfect target for somebody else to go try to grab them and bring them to their school.
Yep.
So they fall under those transfer rules as well.
Okay.
So
And then just to reiterate for anyone that's wondering, it's the same rules as GHSA. So let's say an athlete has been in GHSA for 3 years and they come to GIAA, they've still only got the 1 year.
yes,
Correct.
sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Once they enter wherever they are,
Where-
once you enter 9th grade, the
You've got
first
the
time
8.
you have your 8 semesters.
Whether you played or not.
Right.
You could
Oh,
not
okay.
play. I could be a 9th grader not play, 10th grader not play, but then I'm going to start playing. Yeah, you got 2.
Okay, that's a great
that,
point. Yeah.
that clock has started ticking.
Great. Anything else you guys want to throw out there as far as GIA? Just any kind of big difference or challenges you guys have that you may want anybody to hear?
Well, now he's put us on the spot. Now we're thinking about something.
Well, I'll say this. I know the differences between the associations, and as I said earlier, we appreciate what they do. We are a different association for sure. I love this association, hence 1989 till now, and I think we have something really, really special here. I think our like-mindedness is probably the key.
Yeah.
When you get schools that are more like-minded together, that can talk through, and all those schools having a voice in rules and regs and how things are done in our league, it's a joy to sit in meetings and watch. I don't have a vote. Our job is to enforce rules.
Right.
We feel like police sometimes, and it's really not that. But we just enforce the rules the way they're written. And so there are rules that even I sit there and go, man, I wish this was a little different. And the beauty of that is at some point that's going to come up from somebody, and they're going to realize, we probably ought to look at this and see if in a collective group, which means every single head of school in our league has the opportunity to vote for a change or a clarification or whatever it is. And so when you have that ability, knowing that the very smallest school and the very largest school has the exact same voice in our league, and you watch those heads of schools sit and make decisions and talk it through, it's really a lot of fun, and just seeing the ability for all of them to work together and to come up with an answer, but basically most of the time it's a common goal that we've all had, being independent schools, and they just again, it's fun to watch.
Yeah.
And that's just in learning and talking with you. One thing I've learned that I think is awesome is that, because of that, they've got to say so. Again, because of the flexibility, the head of school's they can all vote on a change. Well, that really means that trickles down to the parents have a vote because of how it works with these private schools and with the head of schools. And I know John Simpson, one of the greatest men I know.
He is a good one.
That's why my children are at Lakeview, and just along with a great staff and a great set of coaches. But it's awesome knowing that if something comes up, that hey, have we ever thought about this? Could it be changed? And if the schools want to come together and make a change, it can be changed. I think that's huge.
Yeah, and the process starts. That's what I like more than anything. There could be a school that feels very, very strongly about something, and they bring it to us, and we see their passion. We see that they, this is something they really want. We all know that sometimes it still doesn't come to fruition, but reality is we do offer up that opportunity for them to have their voice, speak about it. Everyone consults it, and it either works or it doesn't work. The beauty of our league is when it doesn't work, even there's no. It went through the proper process.
Right.
It was vetted, and every piece of it was picked apart, and the majority decides whether it's going to happen or not, and so we don't really have that backlash too many times from people because they see that it takes the proper process.
Okay.
Well, go ahead.
Can I point out one thing you had mentioned a minute ago and I wanted to bring up we hadn't mentioned is we have, as you mentioned, we have districts. So a Lakeview is a 3A school. We have one single A, double A, triple A, 4A in majority of all our sports. Not everyone because of the size of the sports, but Lakeview, we have gone to districts for that reason, for travel, but we use a ranking system through Max Preps. Now, does everybody love it? No, I mean, no, because I'm not, but how, neither do they in the NCAA either. I'm a Georgia fan, Alabama fan, and I just felt like but anyways, we're not going to get on Alabama, Georgia. But I wanted to say that our Max Preps works, for the most part. At the end of the day, that 1, 2, 3, the top tier teams, mathematically, algorithm work, which, by the way, for the record, we don't know. We don't want to know. But it helps our schools understand, and it gives a lot of chatter, too. I'm ranked 4. I'm ranked 3. I'm ranked 7. I got to get here to do this, that kind of thing. So, and I will tell you, and Clint brought it on. He went out and researched the Max Prep stuff, and when I came on board, a couple of trips we'd argue back and forth. Clint, you sure this is right? Because I was from the old Georgia high school mentality, even GIAA at the time, 4 regions, 4 districts, and that kind of thing. Sure. Well, there are some regions that are just not as good in a certain sport. Okay, and there are other regions that are real good and they're deeper. Well, I guess we don't want to reward We want the best of the best at the end.
Right.
Okay, that's put it.
Go ahead.
ahead.
I'm sorry.
No.
I was going to say we have seen a fourth place team in regions winning state championships. We've seen that, and when you see that, and then you also turn around and see a school hosting an event that has won 2 ball games. And I'm speaking in terms of football, a 2-8 team because they won their 2 region games that created them to be in a position to host an event. There's a problem with that.
Yep.
There's a problem. A state championship is supposed to be the best teams playing, the best swimmers being in it, the best whatever is there. We want the best to be in the finals. We want the best to be in the tournament in the end. And I feel like Max Preps wholeheartedly does that.
Okay.
It does. It's a conversation piece for sure.
Yeah, sure.
But that's a good thing. When people are talking about our league with this Max Preps, so be it. Press is press.
Oh, yeah.
So
Well, but I just wanted to bring up that Max Preps has served us well.
yeah.
And again, us and Georgia High School totally different. They're bigger. They can put those pods together and not ride all over the country. Lakeview, if y'all wanted to be in AAA and us put you in a pod, we're going to see you in Savannah.
Yeah, no, we don't.
We're going to
We're
see
not
you.
making
You know what I'm
that
saying?
today.
We're going to
Right.
see you down in Milledgeville a couple times. You know, so it allows. Now we do not ever put a AA against a 4A or a single A versus 3A. We keep it in the 3-4 and the 1-2s.
Okay.
In like size schools, close to anyways. So it makes it competitive.
Well, and I'm going to end with that because that's a great point. And I'm first going to say I love the ranking system, by the way.
Hey, boy.
Awesome.
I
Thank you.
love it.
Bless you.
You know,
Win for
in
Clint.
fact, somebody asked me, literally yesterday, last night was our last regular season game, and somebody said, "Where are y'all at in the region?" I said, "I have no idea. I know where we're ranked because
Yeah.
we're getting ready to head into playoffs, and that's what matters." But I love the ranking system. But as far as the competitiveness, I want to end with this because again, I get to say it, and I'm going to say it because I've caught a lot of heat, around here with GIAA. It's not GHSA, and it's not that logo, and I'm not saying everybody should pull out GHSA and be in GIAA.
No.
You've got to do what's best for you, and they're both great associations. But the competitiveness is there, and I've seen it. And a lot of people are not. I'm going to say educated is a nice way, and I was one of them. When my oldest son first came to Lakeview, I believe that was the first year GIAA was formed. So I had a lot of questions at the time, especially with athletics and that kind of thing. And so I've learned a lot as we've gone. But it's got that stigma of, it's not the GHSA logo, so why would you play sports there? It's almost like people think colleges only look at the GHSA logo and that's the only way you can get there. And it's all relevant, right? I mean,
Absolutely.
It is.
it's, I like to tell people, okay, if you're a GHSA 2A, 3A, 4A school, you're going to go to the playoffs and you're competing for a state championship. Everybody that will say, oh, well, it's GIA, it's not the competition. Those very people, if you say, okay, well, how about in the playoffs, we're going to move you to 5A, 6A, and you go for a state championship. Well, no, they're bigger schools. They've got more. That's not equivalent. Well, it's all relevant.
It
So
is.
if you're going for it in 2A GHSA or 4A, you're going to stay in those classifications, and that's what you're competing against. And it's the same with GIA. I've seen, as you've mentioned, as much, and not as much. It is a smaller pool, so I'm not saying GIA is going to go out there and beat everybody in GHSA,
Oh, no.
but
Oh, no.
or have as many athletes there that will go
No.
to the next level because
Correct.
of the numbers. But I have seen top tier athletes in GIA, and
Absolutely.
I've seen because of the way you do the ranking system. Once the playoffs start, well, even in the region, really, but the competition is it's great.
That's right.
Well,
it's been awesome. So.
And I'm going to expound on that. I don't even think it's the logo. I just think it's more jealousy than anything. Because when I went to Lakeview, we were in GHSA, we were single A, we won a state championship. I still catch flack. Oh, y'all played in single A.
Yep.
We still played good teams, still played against good.
It's all relevant.
Exactly. And so it's always going to be there. I think it's more of a jealousy thing than anything. And like you said, I'm going to say uneducated people that just want to throw mud at the wall and see what
Well,
sticks.
I will say this wholeheartedly. That's the reason there's classifications.
Right.
Sure.
That's the bottom line. Yes, exactly. That's you saying it that way about being single A, it's the same thing when a double A school in Georgia High School, whatever, wants to speak down toward its classifications.
Yep.
That's the same way that you're trying to speak on our league. You're being spoken the same way from the higher classifications.
Exactly.
It's the classifications for a
Yep.
reason.
Sure.
I like that.
And so again, it's why we wanted to have both of you on, and can't thank you enough. And again, when I say uneducated about all this, I'm not taking a shot. I was there. I'm saying that to say the whole reason we wanted you guys on is to educate everybody and answer a lot of questions that I think probably people didn't even realize they had, and y'all shed a light on a lot of stuff. And so anyways, know your busy schedule. Know you told me you've been traveling all week. I know you're tired. So I can't thank you both enough for being on here, and for everything you do. So there's a lot
Certainly.
on both your plates.
We
Thank y'all.
appreciate what you do for the schools and for the community, and but more importantly the students, the kids, because that's what we all do this for.
Right.
And so we appreciate that.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.